Welcome to this week's OK at Work with myself, Sarah Sawyer, and my colleague, Russell Berger, both attorneys at Offit Kurman. And today we are talking about online gambling. So most often we see it related to sports, but it can be other things as well. And I know here in Maryland, it's been a recent addition to legal gambling in the state, allowing this online gambling to take place. And you see tons of commercials, obviously, during the Super Bowl and various sporting events. And so, it's definitely something that's become much more prevalent and common, and people are doing it every day, and it's easier than ever. And that can be a little bit concerning for employers. So what are some things that companies should be thinking about now that that is such a prevalent thing, Russell?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked actually recently about the legalization of cannabis in Maryland and how that goes into effect for recreational use on July 1st. But I haven't heard anyone talking about the legalization of online sports gambling, and that's been in place for about 6 months or so, 7 months or so now. And one of the things that I think employers ought to be watching out for is just like anything, it can be abused, and people can and do have problems with gambling. And the downstream impact for an employer is it creates some risk around financial controls and the risk of just money going missing, but also around decision making as well. And whether someone who's in a position to make kind of executive level decisions start steering in a more aggressive manner, or a manner inconsistent with the company's goals to try to get some kind of short-term return, might be a concern as well. So really, the thing to watch out for, I think, is the financial impact on employees that are, struggling with gambling addiction or having other problems with gambling, and how that affects their behavior in the workplace.
And it can be done responsibly, and it's not that it's per se an issue that an executive is using these platforms or is involved in gambling, but the ease in which these things can really escalate, and people who are in these positions can get themselves into a situation where they're betting every day, and they get themselves kind of wrapped up in that, is much more common and much more likely to be kind of hidden from the view of employers, just given how easy it's been made by these apps and how they kind of reel people in and get people really excited about doing it every day and staying on top of it, and how easy it is to check in on things and get in and out of these apps and stuff. So it's definitely something that, just given the ease of it, I think we can see more often. It's not that when it wasn't legal that people weren't betting at all. And there's all different levels of it, from just a friendly bet on the Super Bowl at a Super Bowl party to much more extreme gambling. And it's always been around even when it wasn't legal, but now at this point that it's really empowering people to be able to do it more frequently and get behind in a much more significant manner. So definitely something to pay attention to.
Yeah, and it's always been true, right, that employers and companies should have financial controls and have these measures in place so that one person can't just walk off with the cash. And I think just as we're kind of entering into this world where more and more people are gambling online, it's just a reminder to tighten up your financial controls, to revisit them, because Sarah, you and I have dealt with these issues for clients, certainly prior to, and will continue to do so. So it's really something that from an employer standpoint, is, there are remedies, there are things you can do if an employee steals money from the company. And again, that's not to say that everyone who uses a sports gambling app will do so. But there are remedies for that. But the best remedy is to not let it happen in the first place, and that really has to do with controls and process and checks and balances in that regard.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on kind of what's going on with your employees too, and any changes in behavior or circumstance in general is always a good practice. No one wants to pry too far into people's lives, and that's understandable. But often you can tell that there's been a shift or a change. So that also isn't something to be ignored, even when you have certain systems in place. And staying on top of these things is key. So, well, thanks, Russell, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Sarah.